Got it.
Got it. We are a rollin'. Hey there, everybody. I'm here with David Chislett. I'm proudly from our Repossible podcast and YouTube channel. And welcome, David, from oh so far away.
Down the road.
On that note, okay, we're going to talk about this online conference
Yeah.
workshop you're doing. And you and I live, what, 20-minute bike ride from each other in the
Yeah.
Netherlands here. And COVID's over. COVID is as good as over. And I'm just thinking, you and I have talked about this a lot in the past, but we got to do more in-person stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on that note, all right. I know I'm jumping the gun and I'm talking about all kinds of off-topic things, but it's kind of off-topic and kind of your upcoming workshop is online.
Yes.
Yes. Let's talk about that, and then I do want to talk about the idea of in-person, and also because you jumped at when we were just before I hit record here talking about your workshop and then the book,
Oh, yeah.
and then and the online workshop. But I'm curious about an in-person workshop and how or why not why are you not doing that?
Yeah.
We'll talk about that.
All
All right,
right.
I'm going to back up 14 sidetracks within the first minute and a half here. And welcome, David Chislett. Let's start fresh. Hi.
Hi.
Okay, quick intro. You've got a workshop coming up
Yeah.
and a book coming out,
Yes.
and they're related.
Yes, they are.
And I was asking about chicken and the egg, which came first, the book or the workshop?
Yeah.
And you paused for a moment.
Yeah. Actually, I think what came first was an omelette, rather than a chicken or an egg. Um, I I had the idea for the workshop, and it was a nice idea. And Hannah Huber from the Amsterdam Academy Press was keen on the idea of the workshop, and I kind of worked out the top line of more or less what could happen in such a workshop. And she was like, "Yeah, go, good, lovely." And then I sat down and I kind of had to work out the content of the workshop, and I thought, workshops. I thought, no, wait. First of all, I need to explode everything out of this idea on paper and see exactly everything I could possibly say about unblocking writer's block. And before I knew it, I had an outline for a book, chapters, and
Wow.
eight chapters. And I thought, well, that's a great way to develop the content for the workshop. Let me first write the entire book and then pick out the bits which would be the most easy to turn into an experiential online event. And that becomes the workshop. And so, yeah, it was a bit of a kind of hybrid, I don't know, artificial insemination kind of chicken egg thing.
You realize, of course, what you just did. You just gave a pro tip on defeating writer's block
Yeah,
by going through another medium or looking at it from a different perspective.
switch your focus, change the medium. Say to yourself, well, what if this isn't a book? What if this is a screenplay? What if this is just a
Yeah.
workshop? What if this is, and this used to be my favorite, a 146 character tweet, which of course you can't do anymore.
Ooh.
Um, because what that does is it completely changes your mental perspective about the idea that you're engaging with, which will force you to use different tools, um, use different kinds of words, use different orders in order to meet the medium. So just by flipping mediums, you'll have a massive impact on your idea and therefore the content that you end up generating.
Wow. Because you're seeing it through, yeah,
In a
medium.
different lens.
Yeah. Ooh, nice. Nice. This is so meta here. You're very
Well, I
you
think this is generally quite unconscious, so meta, I don't know. But when you're really stuck and you've got a big deadline looming, it's pretty good to be able to think about this stuff instead of just sitting there hammering your head against the wall and I don't know, going drinking or shooting up heroin or whatever it is that you do. To rather go, okay, well, let me reframe this.
and by reframing, is it, I'm such a visual person. How did that happen? You say, oh, I'm stuck. I don't know if you were stuck, but you're like, oh, gee, I've got to do this workshop. And then how did you get to the book idea? Why were you not just, let's take the pure stuck person and I'm just banging my head against the wall or banging my fingers against the keyboard to create this workshop and it's not working. I'm stuck. But
Yeah.
how did you get
Okay.
to the idea of, gee, maybe I should write a book?
Well, the lens that you look through when you're developing a workshop is I need a chunk of content that I can give a brief explanation for, I can get people comfortable with, we can then go and play with in the form of an interactive exercise so that by the time the exercise is over, the participants are comfortable with the theory and have some practice actually using it. Right? So you're thinking about
Yeah,
quite
yeah.
small chunks, which are very much suitable for some kind of interactive process. When you think about a book,
Okay.
you're thinking about, well, I need to be complete. I need to be comprehensive. What are all the things I could possibly talk about? And how do I break
Yeah.
each of those things down? And where do I then start in that process? And where is the logical end? And how can I organize everything I have in my head? That's a very different way of looking about generating content. So I was quite stuck with the writing of the workshop part. And I just thought, you know what? I'm so stuck on this first thing. Let me just stop worrying about that and just vomit out everything I can think about that I know will work when people are stuck. And then see what I can cherry pick out of that and develop into the workshop.
Could you give us a tip or tactic on, you said vomit. And again, sorry, visual guy, and that's a little too visual for me. But
Rainbow vomit.
what, oh, thank you. Thank you. That's a little better. But what is your, not that this is for everybody, but what's your favorite vomiting technique?
My favorite vomiting technique is bullet points. And I know a lot of people, it's spider diagrams, post-it notes, you know, using something like, oh God, Miro, where you can just put stuff
Right.
down and then juggle it about. For me,
Okay.
the way I write is pretty visual, I've been told, but I'm a list guy. I write lists,
Okay.
bullet points, and then I juggle the bullet points around.
And then, so I'm a mind map kind of guy because I like the hierarchy stuff and I like
Mm,
turning things into sort of an organizational chart
yeah.
where I can see. I often talk about like a grocery store. There's a grocery store, then there's the fruit and vegetables, then there's fruit, then there's apples, which even have more subtypes of apples. And so now I've got my grocery store, fruit and
Yeah.
vegetable, fruit, apples, Granny Smith. And so I like that I can drag
You
and
can do
move
that
things
with bullet
around.
points as well. Each time you hit tab, it gives you a different kind of a bullet until you
Yeah,
moves all the way across the page.
yeah, yeah. Like a table of contents, hierarchy and
Yeah,
one and one A and one B and or are you just bullets and dashes and
kind of depends on the day.
okay,
Yeah, but
okay.
the beauty of that is that you can always then go back up the list, drop something in, you know, cut, copy and paste, move it around, juggle it, and there's no pressure. There's no this is right, this is wrong. It's just like, hey, I'm figuring this out while I'm busy doing it,
Yeah, yeah,
without wasting any of the time actually writing reams and reams and reams of text.
yeah. I mentioned the dashes and dots and bullets and stuff because I think sometimes people they want like a real. I mean, I often get the question, Bradley, just tell me what to do.
Yeah,
Right? Just tell me which program to use and how to do it. What do you want me to do? And so you're saying, what I'm understanding is you're saying like go to whatever your favorite word processor program, Google Docs or Word or
well,
something.
I'm saying that's what I do. What I would
Yeah,
say
yeah,
to
yeah.
somebody who would ask me that question is, do what you're already doing. In your work
Okay,
environment,
okay.
when you're planning your personal finances, how do you collate and gather everything together, and how do you organize it so that you can work with it? Do that. Do what you always do. Don't reinvent the wheel with something unfamiliar
Okay.
that you first have to learn how to do. Forget that. That's a waste of energy.
Yeah.
Use what you've already got.
Nice. I like that. Because then I can also see people procrastinating about, oh, I've got to learn that software now.
Exactly.
David forced me to use Google Docs, so I got to
Yeah.
get an account.
There you go.
I see. I see. Okay, I like that. So actually do what you usually do, but we're going to do it then with this new topic or
Yeah.
with, okay. I like it.
Yeah.
Cool. So is this the kind of thing what we just did? Is this the kind of thing we might be learning in this workshop slash book?
Yes, indeed. So, the purpose of the book, broadly is to give people uh, pretty top line techniques and very practical, easy to use techniques to help them get past whatever it is that's preventing them from getting words down on a page, be it a screenplay, a novel, a blog post, an annual report for your business or what have you, by understanding some fairly simple concepts. Like you've actually first got to start because you can't fix anything if you don't have anything. So you've got to start. And then how do you get over the hurdle of starting? Well, you tell yourself that it doesn't matter. You tell yourself that this isn't the real document. This is just a practice run. This is what I might do if I was to actually do it. And then you write it all down. Then, of course, you've written it all down. You have a thing. You've started. Then you can start to go, right, well, that doesn't work. I need to change this, this, this. And it's amazing. Once you've got anything, it kind of kickstarts your critical mind. And then it goes, no, well, that's actually not good enough. I need to do this. I need to do that. I need to, and bah, you're going. So, yes, that's the kind of stuff we'll be doing.
Okay. You mentioned, I'm really glad you said blog post, screenplay, book, because maybe author guy that I am, I immediately think writer's block, I immediately think book.
Hmm.
But it's not necessarily geared towards just authors and books, right? It could be,
No. I mean, look
okay,
at the way LinkedIn works currently. There's a lot of pressure
yeah.
on you to write pretty hooky, catchy, thought provoking LinkedIn posts in order to build your personal profile, to get more business, or to, whatever. That's not easy. You've got to have a pretty good idea to write a good one. And there's instant biofeedback in terms of all the analytics you get. So you could even use
Yeah.
it for that kind of stuff if that's what you need right now.
Oh, that's really practical and also more broad, more far-reaching, and more kind of practical day to day. I mean, I
Yeah.
talk to a lot of people about books, of course, and a book is like a big deal. It's this big event, and I'm
Mm,
going to do it next year. But if you're talking about a LinkedIn blog post or a LinkedIn post,
I'm going
that's,
to do it tomorrow.
yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
even tonight.
yeah, maybe if you have the skills that David is teaching,
Well, yeah.
because
A lot of this
I
stuff
know your
is
stuff.
that what I've begun to realize is that the whole thing of writer's block or any kind of creative block isn't actually um, a bad thing. We tend to think of it like, oh my God, I'm stuck. This is awful. It's awful. What
Hmm.
I've come to realize, and I've been basically a professional writer now for nearly 30 years, is that you get writer's block for a reason. Something's not right. Something's not working. You're missing something. And,
Hmm.
and, and, the, and the blockage is literally the process jamming up because you've got something wrong. And so the worst thing you can do is to um, enact the definition of madness and just keep on doing the same thing over and over and over, hoping that miraculously it's going to break, it's going to give, and it's going to work out. You need to stop. You need to let it go. And then you need to change your perspective. And then you need to maybe go and get more information and so on. And so that's where the book starts, is the recognition that everyone gets stuck because you don't always have it all worked out in your head when you start. That's the
Yeah.
point of starting in order to work it out. So when you get stuck, instead of getting frustrated, you should be going, yes, here's the logjam. Here's the thingamabobby that if I can unpick this lock and explain this and work through this, that's going to make sense to everybody because it's a problem for me too. And so it really is one of those, gifts in disguise, writer's block. It's not, it's just part of the creative
Hmm.
process. It's going to happen.
That's nice. That's nice to see it as something that we're all going to have it. Everybody's going to have the most famous of authors and most prolific of writers is going to have it, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And to get tools, adapt or learn tools to work with it
Yep.
to get through it. Wow, nice. Cool. So this book, it is currently fall of 2023, and this book is when's the book coming out?
It's coming out in September. The workshops are
Ah.
officially functioning basically as an extended launch event for the actual book.
So when you do the workshop, you get the book, have access to the book.
Yeah, So when you pay to join the workshops, you will get a free e-copy of the
Okay.
book as part of your ticket price.
Ah, nice. And the book, it's not a workbook though. It's not a bring this and we'll write inside of it.
No, no, no. It's kind of like the theory accompaniment to the workshop, but every single chapter in the book does have an exercise which you can do at home when you're reading the book
Okay.
that challenges you to put to work what you've just read about in that chapter.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So in that sense, yes, it is a workbook. It's just not the workbook for the workshop.
Okay. I see. I see. And if people are watching or listening to this before it's starting on September 12th,
Yes.
and then it goes for 3 weeks. What day of the week is that? I can't
It's
remember.
3 sessions on a Tuesday evening, I believe, between 8 and 9 p.m. Central European summertime on the 12th, the
Okay.
19th, and the 26th of September. So that means if you're in Europe, yay, that's easy. If you're on the east coast of America, it's in the afternoon. If you're on the west coast, it's quite early in the morning. And if you're in
Yeah,
Australia, it's
yeah,
the middle of the night of the day before.
yeah. All right. And then the sessions, are they a combination of sort of teaching and interaction, or
Absolutely. Yeah.
what's the format? Okay.
So there will be fun and games and introductions, and each evening has a batch of content that goes with it. And after each subsection of the content, there will be an exercise where I'll be sometimes putting people into breakout rooms with a partner to go and try something out, or we'll be using polls and interactive elements on the online platform and so on
Oh,
to give
nice.
everybody an opportunity to actually get their hands dirty and try the stuff out. So by the time the first call's over, you've already taken um, some theory into practice, so that it's easy for
Okay.
you to now apply it the next day.
Ooh, so some real interactive stuff with polls and whatnot.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yes, this one's not called a workshop just because no one can think of another word for it. It's actually going to involve the attendees doing some work.
Good. Good to hear. And I really am quite fascinated about this idea with the idea of the workshop and the book and the book and the workshop and the chicken and the egg and doing both and simultaneously. And if you join one, you get the other one. It's great. And the idea of, even if you're stuck, that you might think of it the other way and the other lens, as you call it, to see the same topic but through a different perspective. This is great.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at business, this happens all the time. Um, the whole notion of a lean business comes out of auto manufacturing. The whole idea of agile comes out of software development. And so all that someone's done is gone, oh, yeah, that looks like an interesting tool. I wonder how it'll work here in retail or whatever, or in design. And then out of that, you get design thinking, you get this, you get that, you get the next thing. And it's all about switching lenses. You know, when you're talking about creativity, it's a mistake to only always think about the artifact, the end product. You can also
Mm,
be thinking about, well, how do I make that thing? What is the process that I follow? Or what can I learn that'll allow me to make a different product? Or what if I applied this product in a totally different environment? What would that mean? What would happen there? And so there's always more ways to think about anything that you're doing. The trick is to be aware of the options so that you kind of have the ability to do that kind of flick flacking.
and then, as you say, because you keep mentioning starting, and if you don't start, you know what's going to happen then, which is the same old, same old.
Yeah.
And then with the potential fear, some people might see it as a fear, but once you get over this fear and starting and knowing that you might not know what happens, it can be scary,
Yeah.
but exciting.
Yes. And the beauty of having actually started is that you now have a pretty good idea of what happens because you've done it. So
Yeah.
that famous athletic brand has got it all wrong. It's not about just do it, it's about just start it. Because once you start it, then you've got something to do. Until you start, you can't do anything. It's all back to front. It puts the emphasis where everybody's
Right.
fear lies, on the thing, on the finished artifact. Is it good enough? Can I actually even do that? And it says, no, don't worry about that. Just start.
Yeah.
Like if you have to walk to Sao Paulo tomorrow, what would the first thing you would do tomorrow morning in order to start that journey? It's like, well, I'd put on my walking shorts, I'd walk out the door. Right. So do that. Start that. And then one thing leads to another. And before you know it, you're halfway there. Or even if you're only 1/10 of the way there, you now have a thing which you can then go back and look at and analyze and work and say, is this what I expected? Is this what I want?
Yeah.
How can I improve this? So,
Yeah.
the whole focus of just do it is in the wrong place. You need to be
Okay.
much thinking about, how do I start? What's the first tiny little thing that I could definitely do tomorrow that's within my arc, that I have the tools and the ability to actually start?
Wow. I like that. That's really, it relieves a lot of the pressure,
Yes.
because you're right. Get to Sao Paulo tomorrow. First of all, get down to Portugal and say, wait a minute, there's an ocean here in between. But you're saying don't worry about that yet.
No.
Just get started. Just put on the walking shorts and get out the door.
Right, because if you're already worrying about the end, you're engaging in fantasy.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no thing, there's no concrete, there's no reality to it. If you've already started, then you've got something to refer to when you start thinking about the end.
Thanks. Speaking of which, the end. Let's
Yes.
wrap this up. And this is actually a real life example, I think, of exactly what you're talking about. We started this. We had a bit of an outline. We knew kind of where we wanted to go. We had some points we wanted to touch on,
Yeah.
and yet, what I took away, and this is funny because as you and I both know, you and I work in similar parallel worlds here. But I always like when we talk because we have a different lens
Yeah.
through which we look at a similar thing. And just the idea of starting and how important that is, because that's what I'm taking away, is how important it is to start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Creative products are emergent. In other words, if you're not busy with it, it will not emerge. So anything that you do is, in actual fact, 95% of the battle. Anything you can start puts you 10 steps ahead of it, 95% of the competition. And then something can emerge, like in this conversation. A whole
Yeah.
different thing has come out of than what we thought was going to come out. But that wouldn't have happened if we hadn't started to talk.
Yeah. Yeah. If we theorized for years
Yep.
and never actually hit record, and then we're forced, which can be uncomfortable, we're forced to get it rolling.
Yes.
And then we did. We found our groove, and then we're rolling, and we came up with new ideas. And one of my favorite elements is this unknown. It can be fun. It can be fun and exciting and adventurous.
Yeah. In my experience, it generally is.
Yeah. Awesome. I will put a link. This is that through Amsterdam Academy Press. What is that? AmsterdamAcademy.com, I think, right?
Yeah. AmsterdamAcademy.com /workshops. You'll find the link where you can click on. It'll take you through to Eventbrite, where you can then purchase your ticket.
Yes. And it is online. So even though David and I are in the Netherlands, you don't have to be here personally. All those time zones it's going to be working with. Amazing. Imagine that. And will it be, if somebody misses one, will it be recorded and they'll go to?
Nope. Not with Zoom's new
No.
terms and conditions. No.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, you heard, then be there and be on time, and be there and be square.
All right. See you there.
All right. Great, David. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Bradley.
Talk soon.
Ciao.